You passed 2 screens, 1 on-site, 1 behavioral, 1 team matching, and now you got an offer. Congrats. But before accepting, you always need to negotiate. Negotiating an offer is the best, by far, return on investment that you may have in your career. Think about it. For a 6-figure salary, that's like an increase that is substantial to buy you an extra car in a year or an extra vacation. So it is very important. But most people don't really put effort into it or don't know how to do that. And that's where I come in. Over the years in my career, I went well beyond 6 figures. And that's not because I'm best at what I do. I mean, I'm decent at what I do. I work as a data scientist, but my main increase was purely because I mastered art of interviews and art of selling yourself. And in this video, I'm going to share with you when to negotiate, how to do that effectively, what are the rules to negotiation, what are they going to counter you with, and how you should respond to actually get better offer. Before we start, I want to say hi. My name is Andrey. I work as a data scientist in the US, and on this channel, I give life and career advice. Welcome. So the most common problem people have when trying to ask for more money is they tie so much monetary amount that the company gives you to the value. And they feel like if they ask for more, they need to get more skills or they need to get more seniority. And only then will they be good enough for the salary that they ask for. But the truth is, how much you make does not define you as a person. How much you make doesn't even define you as a professional. It's just like how much the market has offered you for the same position, for the same person. The numbers could be really different. I know myself professionals that could earn 200K or 300K, but they're stuck in a job that just doesn't pay that much. So people do not negotiate because they feel that their value is not high enough. You need to break that mindset. Like, don't tie yourself to a monetary value. You are much more than that, right? So that's a first. Second, people fear that if they start to negotiate, like, I want you to give me more money, and then the company will be like, no, an offer that was on the table before now, it's gone now. We're not interested anymore, please. Just because you asked for more, means that we don't want you anymore. The truth is, it's never gonna happen. Like, imagine how much money and time company wasted on trying to get a right person for the job. Countless hours of recruiter writing job applicants, countless hours of interviews and people on the calls and phones and technical challenges and time of directors as well. And overall, they had this huge process when they tried to get one person on board and they found one. And finally, all of this money that they spent on recruiting, which is tens of thousands of dollars, and all of this time of managers and directors, finally, we can move on and do some real work. And then you ask for 10% more. Realistically, well, first, a lot of the companies expect you to negotiate and they're gonna give it to you on the spot. But realistically, nobody's gonna walk away because to start that process again, like, it's a huge pain in the ass. So even if you get a no when you ask for more, an offer most likely will still gonna be on the table. So don't really worry about that. And if somebody says, well, you're too greedy, well, the whole point of a company is to make a profit, right? And trust me, a company makes much more on you that they pay you. It's not like you're begging for a job and they like just do this charity where they give you money, but they lose money on you. No, it doesn't happen. The company makes profit on you and you make company 10 times more, 20 times more usually than what you cost them. So just always remember that the companies, they exist for profit. They have no shame in making money on you. So sometimes some people try to shame you in wanting to get a better value of yourself when you're practically selling your life. So first mistake that people make is actually refuse to negotiate at some point. So if you hear yourself saying phrase like, if you offer me X, I will accept, of course. I'm looking for X amount of money. Then you basically forfeited your ability to negotiate. And a lot of times recruiter will try to get that number off of you. So they will say, how much do you want to make? Like, is there a number in your head? And like the number one mistake is that you can make is like, I'm going to be satisfied with this number. Basically, you're saying them, I don't want to negotiate. If you offer me this, I'm going to be on board. Why is it bad? Because a lot of the times after a great interview performance, you can actually get more. So you're going to be aiming lower, and afterwards you will not be able to say like, I want more now, because you already said like, this is my number. There is a reason that a lot of companies don't tell you straight away what their range is, because they know if they can get that information from you first, then you might be below the range. For some people, they think, if I get low enough number, it's going to be my advantage. They're going to want to hire me more because I don't cost that much money. Sometimes it's true, but most of the cases, it's not. Sometimes it can be a red flag for a company. Because imagine you want to buy a computer. You need a computer, you're going to be spending your time with it every day. And there are like 15 laptops. All very nice laptops. Some cost $500, some cost $600. And then there's one laptop that costs $50. And you're like, well, there must be something wrong with it, right? Why is it so cheap? A lot of times cheap is associated with not good enough, because the best professionals, they know their value. The best professionals get a lot of offers and they ask for more. So please don't ever make that mistake thinking that it's going to be your advantage. It's not, and in some ways it can be perceived as a red flag. You might ask me, well, if I cannot get a specific number, what happens when they ask me for a specific number? You either try to get a number as high as possible, think about a crazy number, then multiply it again, and then say that number, and they're going to say, whoa, no, well, that's way too big. And then you can say, well, what is your range? Because for me, if the team is right, and the product is right, and company is right, I'm adjustable. And then they're going to say, well, our range is like 100K to 150. And I'm like, well, you know what? I could do with 150. I could do with the number that's on top of your range. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to say a number, but without actually committing to it. You might say like, they're going to say, so what's your number? And you know that their range is probably somewhere in 100 and 150, but you want to keep the door open on negotiating. And you might say, well, the offer I'm considering now, they all above 130. So 130 is like a bare minimum for me, and I'm only going to consider offers that are higher. And that way, when they're going to bring you an offer to like 135, you might say, well, that's so close to my floor. Like that's just like very low. That's a bare minimum for me. So of course I want to go higher, so you don't actually block yourself from negotiating later. But this is all part of preparation, like kind of how you get into it. But the main thing that I want you to know about, the main concept in this whole deal is called BATNA. It's the best alternative to negotiated agreement. So when company looks at you, what goes in their head is like, well, this guy or this girl is great. We want to have them on board. What if we offer them this amount? How likely are they going to accept it? And what are some other options that they have? For example, if you have 10 other offers that range all the way from 100K a year to 300K a year, when 11th company makes you an offer, they better make a good one. Because if they want to get you, they really need to step up their game and offer you a good amount. And a company needs to know that. So the biggest upside for a company when making an offer, the greatest thing that can happen is you're going to accept it, right? You're going to get in the company and you're going to do whatever needs to be done. You're going to be like a data scientist or a software engineer or a marketing professional, whatever, right? And the worst thing that can happen is you're going to say no. You're going to walk away. And to get the best negotiation possible, perceived risks that you're going to walk away should be high enough at one side, right? And On another side, a perceived value from getting you on board should be high enough as well. So it goes without saying, to get more money, a company needs to actually want you. If your interview performance was like meh and you are not that great of a professional, it most likely not gonna work. But if you check all the boxes and there is a chemistry, they must want you really bad. And your job during negotiations is to show them, I really like you, but I might walk away, really. So when they ask you, for example, one of the questions that they probe it with, what is the risk of losing this guy or girl, is, are you interviewing at some other places? Like, are there any other companies that we should know about? You always say yes. Yes, I have companies. Yes, maybe even I have offers, maybe at final stages with somebody. You always need to interview with somebody. When the company looks at you and knows that there are other parties who are interested in you, they're more likely to get you better offer and they're more likely to increase the offer. But a lot of those questions, they get out of the way really early in the process. When to actually start negotiating. The later you start, the better. I see some people making this mistake trying to get something from recruiter or HR. Like they have first interview and they're like, well, you have this range, but I want more than that. And before anybody wants you, nobody's going to give you anything. First, you want to achieve this feeling from the company. We want to have them on board. And then you start. And then there are rules for negotiation. First and foremost, always be motivated and energized. Always be like, I really want to work with you guys. I really want to be part of what you do. It is really important from start to finish. If your motivation to work at the company is one of the factors why they're making you an offer. There are hundreds of candidates. And imagine you have the same skills as another candidate, but you really want to work with the company. And it gives you an advantage. If at any point the company feels that you're not really interested in the process, or there's like someplace else that you want to be, they would be like, well, why are we wasting time? That's the first one. Second one, always get everything in writing. Always. HRs and recruiters will try to make some promises over the phone, and some people, not all, but sometimes they will break their promises. So everything that you discussed about, whenever you discuss some number, get that in writing. That is really important, and you're gonna thank me later. Third one, always have alternatives. Always have other offers. Alternatives could be, I could go into your company, or I could get a PhD. I could go into your company, or there is a business and then there are some investors interested in my business, right? But most common alternatives for one offer is another offer. Like, I want to work with you guys so much, but you know, this other company, they just gave me like 50% more money. And you know, I don't want to work with them as much as I want to work with you guys. But there is just this obstacle that we need to overcome. Meet somewhere in the middle, right? And as for the middle, don't be too focused on money. This whole getting the best number kind of deal is like, of course, you tiptoeing around money, but if you're just there for the money, company will soon lose interest. Well, if money is a number one thing for you, then what prevents you from working 6 months and getting better offer and leaving our company? Like, you could do that if money is the most important thing to you. So just money is important, but not like why you're choosing this company. You're choosing this company for the team, product, for, I don't know, even the vibe, or like for something unique that's inside the company. But if at some point they feel like that you're only driven by money, like there's no point, like you will never be really satisfied, right? Because there's always a better offer. And just don't make that mistake. I know some people that are like really direct and honest, and when they get asked like what motivates you to work, they answer honestly like money. Like, I get money because I understand that. Like, You get money, you work because you need money for shelter, you need money for food. But in this world and economy, when you say that you're motivated with money, it like takes a couple points away from you, right? Because you can always get money someplace else. You need to aim for something unique, why you want to be with that company, and have a number in your head. If they offer me this, I will probably accept. If you just ask for more and they increase, and then ask for more and they increase, and they ask for more and more and more and more and more, and like if you're never gonna say yes, then at some point they're gonna be like, why are we wasting our time? I do sometimes mock interviews, mock negotiation with people when people try to negotiate and then try to shut them down. And what happens is I say, we have an offer for you. Congrats, you're gonna join our team. Here's 100K. And they say, well, what I want is 120. I really want to join a company, la 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 la, but 120 is what I want. I'm like, well, we cannot do 120, we can do 110. And then I look at their face and they're like, wow, I'm probably gonna reject your offer. It's not really good for me. Don't do that. Be positive. Keep the door open. You never know. Maybe they're gonna reevaluate what they offered you. Maybe like all of the other offers are gonna be withdrawn. Maybe it's gonna be your only offer. Like, don't really show that you are unsatisfied or disappointed by what you see. You could be like, well, you're really great and I really like your company, but the offer numbers are not good enough. And if you start with, I'm not gonna accept, probably, this doesn't look good for me. If you lose your energy, then the company probably is gonna lose energy on their side as well. Whenever you can, during the whole interview process, try to get as much information as possible about their ranges, about like what is the base salary for them usually. You could get, for a lot of tech companies, you could get that at Glassdoor or Levels FII. Like, what's the base salary? What are stocks? Do they have stock options instead of RSUs? Do they have other benefits as well? What are the levels and grades? What is the levels that they target you for? Is it senior, staff, middle, etc.? And you could really do a lot with that, because sometimes like they can get you a lower offer, but just because they underleveled you, and you could show that you have an expertise that they look for, and you could say, well, I have other offers and all of them are one level higher. So maybe we could re-establish the levels that you targeted me for. That were the rules. What to actually do. After you get an offer, you get a call from the recruiter or hiring manager like, we want to make you an offer, great. Your job is sound energetic and enthusiastic, like, wow, that is amazing. Find out all the details, like what is the level, what is salary, what is included, is there like some benefits that I should know about, and do not commit to anything. If you're gonna say like, I'll probably gonna accept, then later when you ask for more money, they know that the risk of losing you is low, and they will probably not give it to you, right? If you say, well, you guys, I don't have anything else anymore, so that's great. That's also an indicator for them, like, this guy doesn't have BATNA, best alternative to negotiated agreement. Best alternative for them is to actually do nothing and be unemployed. So we might as well don't give them more money because they have no other options. So how to actually ask for more? First, be excited. Thank you for the offer. Company is great. Team is great. I enjoyed my time. It's just an amazing opportunity. But here comes the obstacle. I have several other offers with companies X, Y, and Z, and right now they're more competitive than yours. And then comes the ask. You ask for increase in base salary or stocks or total compensation. Don't be ashamed to actually ask for what you want. You can ask for a specific number here, or you could just say your offer is lower. This is not like what I get from other companies, so maybe you could get it to be a little bit more competitive. If you say a specific number, It's going to be easier for you and for them, and it's going to be transparent, but you're shutting down an opportunity to negotiate down the line. And if you say just make this more competitive, then you kind of enter in this tango to go back and forth. A lot of the times, company will say that you are not good enough. In some form or the other, they will say, well, we could have offered you 20% more if you had this. Or we could have offered you more if you had like 6 years of experience, but you have 5. And that's why we're offering you this. Don't bite into this bullshit. Because if the company didn't want you, or if the company thinks that you don't have something, then they wouldn't hire you. They made you an offer. They want you on their team. So you have everything that they need. They just trying to kind of mess with your perception of your value. They say to you, you're not valuable enough to get this amount of money. A lot of those don't really require you to answer, just ignore it. Sometimes companies will say, like, for this grade, like senior grade, L5 or whatever, this is best we can do, right? And it would be unfair to somebody else on the team if you earn more than them. Like it's bullshit again. So ignore it. For right candidates, exceptions can be made. You can go outside of that range, and ranges are not set in stone. So it's just like a cheap trick to get you to stop negotiating. The same is, we will get you more money during your next performance review, right? How cool is that? You will work with us for a year, and then your manager, if you greatly exceed expectations, you will get 30%. Oh, that's great, of course, but we're not talking about a year from now. We're talking about now. Always focus on the now. Remember that you can negotiate not only on your base salary, because base salary is hard to get in some companies. You could get more RCUs, you could get more stock options. Sometimes you could get a sign-on for first year. And that's easier for companies because they don't need to make adjustments in grades and in ranges. So not only salary is negotiable, right? Sometimes it's like being remote or on site. Sometimes it's like stuff like benefits. One time I asked for a company to compensate the money that I spent on courses. I want to learn and study more, so I spend on courses, on online courses, 1K a month. And they're like, oh, okay, we can compensate that. That's pretty easy. But for me, it's like directly, it's the same as salary. I would have spent that money anyway. So be flexible, be open, energetic, and flexible in what you talk about. Sometimes you're going to hit a wall when you're like trying to get more money, but they say no and no and no over and over again. Like, you have to know when to stop. And a really easy way to finish negotiations is to get to a recruiter and say, if you get me this number, I will accept your offer today. And after they get you this number, do not walk away and don't start to renegotiate, because that can backfire, right? If you say, I will accept that offer, honor your word. And remember, you join a company for like 2 years or 3 years, you join in for a long time. So it's only fair that you negotiate the time and get the best from that time. Company will do everything in their power to kind of try to stop you. They will say, you're not worth that much. They will say, that's too much money. If you had this, if you had that, reiterate your value. And remember, they already made you an offer. They want to have you on board. Like 10% increase isn't that much. And you are a valuable professional. So get other offers and try to get as much money as possible. I hope you succeed. I hope it was useful for you. And best of luck with your next offer. I hope it's a big one. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.